And here we are, the first episode of Black and Gold Insider. We'll be here along all season, catch you on all the important stuff with LAFC. And we start at the top with our guests. I am Max Bretos, and head coach Steve Cherundolo joins us here on the Black and Gold Insider. And Steve, I know you're getting ready for the new season. And we look at the roster, a lot of players, about 7 players that play significant minutes no longer with the club, and about 7 or 8 coming in, and you've got to integrate them all. It's a big job. What are the things that have worked for you to get the new players to come with the old guard so that it could become a team?
Well, thanks for having me first and foremost, Max, and it's great to see you again in 2025. Integrating new players is, to be honest with you, most of the work is done by the team. And so I think for us, coaches and staff members, try to create an atmosphere and an environment where people can feel comfortable being themselves. And I think that's the key. I think that creating that environment is certainly the bigger work we do and the harder work. And then day to day, just maintaining that environment and making sure that it's the team is open to new players, and they've been fantastic with the new players this year. As far as the technical onboarding goes, we have a plethora of videos and sketches and pictures to onboard players to explain how we want to play here at LAFC. And from what I can tell, that seems to be working.
So I know you spent some time at Coachella and just the preseason and getting some time away. How valuable is that to kind of get out of the comfort zone so guys, are in a hotel, activities together? How much does that residual effect have throughout the season?
Yeah, it really is a blessing to be able to train here in LA at our facility for the majority of preseason. But after taking over the team in 22, I asked John, hey, can I have the boys for 5 days without families, without coming to the PC, just to bond and just to have no distractions for a couple of days. And John was able to make that happen. And I think history speaks for itself, but it seemed to be the right move then, and it continues to be the right move now. And for us, it's 5 days of focusing on 2 matches we usually play in Coachella. The rest of the time, we're focused on the group and making sure the group has enough time with another to get to know each other, to discuss certain things as a group, clarify our internal goals, and really bond. And that's the point of Coachella. So Coachella for LAFC certainly means something different than other teams. And Coachella for LAFC is also a lot of fun.
I've had some time to carve out with the players. And the one thing we've known about LAFC, it's just a good group. And that's important for you and John to get those guys that can represent the club. How has it been with them and seeing these different personalities from all over the world come together under that black and gold banner?
Yeah, it's been nice. It's always a challenge with our league and the rules and roster building and salary caps too. To kind of keep a group together for multiple years, that's nearly impossible. And so we have a lot of turnover, and getting guys in and getting them going right away is imperative. So we pay close attention to it. But this group has gotten a little younger, is a lot of fun, very easy to work with. I think the hierarchy in the team, the leadership roles are very clear this year, which makes it easy for players to come in, identify their roles, and fulfill those roles. And we're also very clear with players of our expectations, and obviously ask them what are their expectations. And if you can align both of those worlds, then that's a recipe for success.
Well, from my perspective, it looks like these guys look like they've been together for longer than the short amount of time you have. So a job well done. And I wanted to talk about some of the young players, but I want to start with your captain. That captain's armband has a lot of history with this club. Was the decision to put Aaron Long with that, who's relatively new to LAFC as he begins his 3rd season? Why was Aaron the right choice?
Well, Aaron is a well-respected player in the team, a player we expect to be on the fields as much as possible, and a player who is in a moment in his career needs to step up. And it's one thing just to have respect from all the players like Olivier Giroud or Hugo Lloris, who already demand the respect of players, but Aaron, we're hoping to take even more initiative and even more responsibility, and be more of a leader than he already was. And I think now giving him the captain's armband will enable him to do that. And those are our expectations.
Two big new faces, or three new faces in that midfield. Odin Holm, good to see him back on the bench, but Igor Jesus and Mark Delgado. You've been playing early on and throughout the preseasons with three guys in the midfield. We know in last season there was the wing backs with the two-man midfield, so to speak. I know it's open discussion about how to view that. Do you see tactically some changes with this lineup throughout the season based on the roster that you put together?
Sure. I mean, we're not done with our roster yet, but we remain the right to be flexible tactically, whether it's a 3-4-3 or 4-3-3. You'll see both from LAFC this year. It should feel and look the same. It should be just as entertaining. They're just different starting positions, and sometimes injuries and rotations and congested schedules will force us to do one or the other. But we took the time in preseason to play both and to learn both. But we're also building off of the knowledge of last season, so it's not like we're starting from scratch. So depending on the situation, we'll decide to play one way or the other. But we absolutely see that as a quality to be able to slip in and out of either system.
And with what we've seen early on, Timothy there locking down what we've seen him do in the past, and Igor Jesus and Mark Delgado, if I could kind of ask about both of them, seeing them combine early days, what do those two players do, and how important is their role going to be in everything that LAFC does?
Well, I think all three players complement each other well. Marky and Timmy cannot combine with one another without Igor. And Igor has put in a lot of work for us already as the holding six. Has really given us some mobility in there, some tenaciousness or some tenacity, better said, and has been calm on the ball for us as well and helped us in build-up. He can slip in between the center backs and play as a center back, or build between the center backs. So he's been very, very good for us. Sort of thinks like a defender, and because of that, he complements and allows Timmy and Marky to roam a little more and to combine a little more and take a little more risk with the ball. And the three of them have very good understanding of each other. So it's been nice to see that grow throughout the preseason process. And also in Colorado, we saw some of the same. And Odin will be right there when he gets fit again. But his technical ability and creativity is also needed in the middle of the park for us. And he'll have a great role to play this year too.
We know you're probably facing 50-plus games again in this MLS season, and a lot of players from other MLS clubs joined you. That on the surface, Jeremy Abobasi and Kosi Tafari, Yaya Boa could be featured players for more MLS teams, and they come here where they're going to be part of this collective, which says a lot about LAFC. But if I could talk about, ask you about the workload and what your expectations are for these players, starting with Jeremy Abobasi, and a guy who's been able to score a lot of goals. How do you see him in what roles, and how expansive can he be for you?
Well, the role Jeremy will play will be the same he played in San Jose, and he's on the field to score goals as a 9, and his quality is exactly what we're looking for as well. His old former club played in a similar fashion we did for many years, so it's nothing new for him. Which is the reason he was interesting for us, and when he was on the market, decided to bring in LAFC. Whether it's starting every game or every second game, I'm not sure that's relevant. I think Jeremy would like to win something at this stage in his career, and he's going to have a very important role in that. And he has shown that already in preseason, and he has the fitness to start tomorrow, to start Tuesday. So it's just another quality player like the others you mentioned, who all have a role in this season for LAFC. And we've spoken to the group, no matter how small or big your role is, every role is important, but every role needs to be fulfilled to 100%. And the players have all bought into that. And that's how you prepare teams for 50-plus games and to be successful in all competitions and vying for trophies. If you cannot involve all of your players at key moments in the season, then you're not going to be playing in all competitions.
As we mentioned, Yeboah, Tafari, they will find minutes in that back line. You have Marlon, you have Maxime Chanot. So there's a lot of players to compete with over these games. I did want to ask you about Eddie Segura, who we've seen, take this opportunity early on in the preseason and early on in 2025. He's a guy who tore his ACL twice, maybe had to look at himself and say, where do I go from here? And now we see him playing significant, important minutes for LAFC. What can you tell us about Eddie and the work he's put in to, in many ways, reinvent himself, having to come back from two significant injuries?
Yeah, Eddie's always been a player with a very strong mentality and football IQ. Just a true defender. Loves the nitty-gritty part of the game, rolling up his sleeves and getting the work done. Was extremely unfortunate with his injuries, but he is back in a great place physically. The knee is solid. And with Eddie's mentality and knowledge of LAFC's history and football we want to play here, he's been extremely important also getting the newer center backs on board. And he's been very good in preseason, exactly how we envisioned it, and deserved to start in Colorado. But again, all center backs that we have on our roster currently are going to play meaningful minutes this year, and we anticipate to use all of them because all of them are great players and can help LAFC.
It's a great group. I want to talk about some of the younger players. And just from your perspective, you mentioned it earlier about coaching younger players. David Martinez with a huge opportunity. We've seen the work that Nathan Ordaz has done. And these are two guys that will also be competing. Specifically about them, what is the advice, or what is what you want to see from the younger players so that they can take those steps to become more seasoned as professionals?
Yeah, I think there's a physical element for younger players when they join the men's game to be impactful on the game, and that takes time. I think there's a tactical element to learn certain things, to learn a game model. That also takes time. Also depends on the individual's ability to learn and pace of that. And then the technical side shouldn't be an issue. I think at that age, players are technically close to being finished, and David and Nate are exactly that, and they both have weapons. And have done excellent work in the offseason to prepare their bodies for this preseason and this long season. So we've been quite happy with both of their players' progression over the offseason and the shifts they've put in preseason already. So, both are pushing to start, and that's great to have competition, and it's going to be great for both of them to make the next step in their careers.
Well, Steve, just to see that transition, at least for this year, about these younger players getting those opportunities, which may have not been there earlier, but it says a lot about the work they're putting in. The final thing I wanted to ask you is about the role of LAFC2 in the academy. We mentioned about Nathan Ordaz and his progress. We have Jude Terry there. Adam Saldana's joined the club, and he was on the bench in some important games. Adrian Wibowo as well. When you see this group, and we know they're going to be fighting for maybe a smaller piece of the pie for the minutes, what is their integration going to look like, and what are you looking for, that little spark, to see if these guys can do a bigger job for you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that will the work on the training pitch will determine whether or not players see meaningful minutes in the season. And then once players do get an opportunity, they have to seize the moment. As a younger player, trying to solidify a roster spot on a senior roster can be difficult. But once you do get the opportunity, you have to take advantage of that. But also, we do keep in mind that players are young and still need to grow and are allowed to make mistakes. Along with mistakes comes learning, which is an important part of this game. And all of us coaches here at LAFC are here in order to improve players and to make them better. And we let players know that we're here for them and they need to ask us questions. And all the players you've mentioned, Jude, Adam, Adrian, David, and Nathan, are like sponges and are soaking up a lot of information, and thankfully have been able to apply that into game-like situations. So we're very happy with their development.
Sorry, Steve, one more last question, because I know Cengiz Under and Artem Smolyakov joined late. How quickly do you see them integrating to the team as well, and provide some moments, some minutes for you?
Yeah, we're going to have to kind of push the fast forward button with both players. The season has started, so we have to get them going ASAP. First and foremost, Artem is traveling and got to get his physicals done and get him on the roster. And that's a day-to-day thing now. And with Cengiz, get him his visa finished first, and then we'll get him integrated. But as soon as I hear We have plenty of games. Hopefully, we'll still have plenty of games, and they're going to have to use minutes in games to gain their needed fitness in order to be impactful for LAFC.
Well, Steve, I remember during the holiday season, there was an event and you looked to me and said, Max, you're going to really like the team. And this was before I put it together. So I know you had a plan in your mind, and I like the team a lot. It's going to be a real thrill to follow you and this squad throughout 2025. And as always, thank you for carving out some time with us.
Thanks for having me, Max.
Steve Cherundolo joining us here. Black and Gold Insider will be along all season. We'll see you next time. Until then, let's go Black and Gold.